This is JMR Geography for Lesson 18, Pool of Bethesda. And we did have movement from Nazareth to Jerusalem, John 5:1. After these things, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. We have already traced the route through the hill country. We've been on it twice. We've traced the route in the Jordan Valley. I believe we've been on it twice. So rather than going again along these routes, I decided to focus today on Bethesda itself and the geography of Jerusalem, to just introduce us to a little bit about the valleys, the hills, and the growth of Jerusalem. I'm using a map that I created a number of years ago in order to do this, and I have several different. I've given you an 8-page handout that is attached with these maps that is attached to the back of the regular PDF with the discussion. And so you'd be able to download that. You'd be able to print out your own maps. I don't have a colored printer, so there's a little bit of color that's involved, but I don't have that colored printer. I did ask you to work with map 1. And I said trace the valleys, and even though they are already in a little blue dotted line showing the flow of the wadi, it's really worthwhile for you to trace these various canyons that mark out Jerusalem. So the Hinnom Valley on the eastern side of the city, separating the beginning of the city, the extension of the city, from the Mount of Olives. The Hinnom Valley, which will end up marking out the western and southern border of Hezekiah's city. The Central Valley, coming through the center part of today's old city, and that provided the border for both the Temple Mount and for the Eastern Hill. So I ask you to trace out these valleys, including the Bethesda Valley and the Transversal Valley, to spend a little time with them, to look at elevations, to write the valley names on. The valley names actually appear on map 2. And so here I gave you the valley names, and then on map I ask you as well to transfer the mountain names, and the mountain names appear on map 3. I didn't put all of them on. I put on the Eastern Hill, the Temple Mount, the Western Hill. I'm asking you to write in this area here, Northern Hills, and I ask you to put Mount of Olives on this spot over here. As we continue to go through these, I take you to 3 stages of growth: David's city, or the Jebusite city, and David's city on the Eastern Hill. Solomon expands to the north onto Mount Moriah, and this becomes the Temple Mount. And then Hezekiah will expand to the west as the city grows, as refugees come in from the north after the destruction of the northern kingdom. In order to help you understand the relationship of these walls, the 3 these walls from the First Temple period, and of course I didn't prepare Second Temple period walls, and that's what we're dealing with. In order to help you understand the relationship of these to the old city today, page 5 shows you the outline of the old city walls of today. And so you notice that the Eastern Hill is out, the southern part of the Western Hill is out. So this is an unnatural line. This is an unnatural line. And in fact, tour guide Apocrypha says that the architects that drew this southern line and didn't make use of the natural defenses of the hill as Hezekiah had, it enraged the Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, to the point that he executed the 2. And the tour guides will show you there are 2 tombs just inside Jaffa Gate here. We are going to move on to show you the overlay of the 3 stages of the First Temple period with the old city walls of today. And then I take you to a separate sheet altogether where we have both. We have Jerusalem's expansion in the first temple city. So David's city, Solomon's city, Hezekiah's city, and then again Jerusalem's expansion in the second temple city. And with Nehemiah's city, there's a minimalist view and a maximalist view. I give a little discussion of that right here. And then we have if we take that maximalist view and we begin to identify the walls that Josephus spoke about. He spoke about the Hasmonean kings building this first wall, and then Herod the Great building the second wall, and that would be the city that the master knew. And then Herod Agrippa I began to build the third wall until Rome told him to stop, and the Jewish rebels completed this wall just before the siege of Jerusalem in 68. You also have down here estimated populations. So that's this 8-page document. I also encourage you to look at the Jerusalem map on map 7, the land of Benjamin. Oh, I skipped right over a map. I'm sorry about that. This is page 8. This is, and I may be doing some alterations on this as we go on. But here you can see the Bethesda Valley. It's flowing basically south and then southeast into the Kidron Valley. And so if you put pools across that valley, you put a dam across that valley, you end up with a pool, add another dam. And there were sluice gates in that first one to allow the water to be brought into the second pool, so this one could continue to fill. Later, Herod the Great added this pool of Israel. So we discussed that in the PDF. But that will, you'll see that it's outside the walls of Herod's city, and that's the city that our master knew. I was moving on to this, and I wanted you to look very closely at Jerusalem here. And if you have good glasses, get your magnifying glass, you'll be able to make out the outline of the city walls. You'll be able to trace the Kidron, the Hinnom Valley. The Kidron Valley, you can take that Kidron Valley all the way out to the Dead Sea. We did have a dotted blue line that didn't come out as thick as it should have when we printed, but you can trace that right across through here and make your way out to the sea. And then the Central Valley is coming down here. I tell you how to locate the Central Valley, and I also tell you how to locate the Little Bethesda Valley. That'll be your work for this week.